Oh, good evening, everybody.
Buddy Everett.
Great start. Good evening, everybody. Just wait a minute or two for YouTube to catch up so I can check the audio.
Sounds good.
Oh, yours has come up before mine then.
Yeah, it started from the word buddy on mine.
Yeah, good 30 seconds lag then. Well, good evening. Good evening, Jen. What an almost wonderful day it was today. The old white streaks across the skies again. But I managed to get a clip. I think I posted it on Facebook because you actually had one flying over that was actually laying a contrail. And then I panned around and there's a lovely load over the back that was something different, shall I say. Good evening, Marines. Well, we got an exciting couple of weeks coming up, haven't we? We got, as I said, the DWP shake-up. A lot of it has got to go through the House of Lords, I believe, before it can actually be introduced. So hopefully the Lords might be a bit more common sense between their ears, shall I say. But there again, there's a lot of Labour ones that have been sneaking in there one way or the other after having the old sword put on their shoulders and shit, haven't they? And given a peership. What can we do? You know, they're a law unto themselves at the moment. And I've got to feel ashamed of myself, really. Today, good evening, Ska, was the first day that I'd ever heard someone say emergency budget. I knew there was a spring statement coming up, but I hadn't heard it called an emergency budget before. So that's going to happen within, I believe, the next 10 days? Or something like that, anyway. So that's going to be very, very interesting. But yeah, the Tories since sense for a while, and abandoning the net zero bollocks, which we all know was bollocks, saying it was unaffordable, it won't be effective. Literally everything we've been saying since they introduced the fucking thing, to be honest. And now something just clicks. Yeah, I don't think so. I think you'll find Herr Starmer's going to do a bit of a U-turn and tone it down a bit as well. But again, the PM's question times today, I mean, it was just a farce. It was an absolute joke. I mean, he couldn't answer any questions, wouldn't answer any questions. The Tories are asking silly bloody questions. All except for old Diane Abacus, fair play to the old dear, standing up and calling him out. And he actually struggled to reply to that. I don't think he saw it coming because he was actually scribbling down notes as she was talking. But yeah, she caught him on the op there. So fair play to her, you know. And she did put a good sentence together through it all as well. But yeah, it was nice to see Starmer getting stumped, as it were, for a bit. So I'm just looking at some of the notes I've made.
I don't know how I did that. I managed to shut your YouTube down.
You just shut me down.
I've got the chat open.
See, this is why I haven't got you as an administrative mod. Be like Holly, you time yourself out or something. I used to do that, didn't I?
I was going to say, I'd like to learn how to be a mod. So tonight I'm going to start deleting comments just for
just to cause arguments.
and putting people in timeout. Because you got to do it all the time on that.
Yeah.
But
that's unless Holly got to it before I fucking did.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Holly always got there first, but yeah, I was a close third. It didn't work.
But yeah, that was something struck me today. That sentencing the kiddie that killed, was it 3 of his family? Now, every time we see one of these cases, oh, we're going to give you a life sentence, but, and all of a sudden, life sentence goes down to, yeah, fair enough, 50, 60, 70 years at times. But to me, a life sentence should be a life sentence. You should die in prison with no chance of parole. For serious crimes like that. 50 years, he's what, 19 now? So at 19, she could have given him a whole life term. 19, so he's going to be 70 before he gets out. At the very earliest.
He was only 18 when he committed the offence. Does that make a difference?
Cabana was 3 days under 18, wasn't it? When he committed the Southport murders.
That's not the sort of thing that sticks in my head. That's why I have to ask you.
No, 18. If you're 18, you can get a whole life term. I just wish they'd call it, we're going to give you a big sentence, not we're going to give you life, because you're not giving them life. At some point, they will get out. I mean, whether he'll survive 50 years is another matter, isn't it? I mean, he's an absolute fruit bat. So, there's every chance that he could make it happen that he doesn't ever leave prison, put it that way. And we're facing another uphill struggle now. It's going to be 13 days. And the new sentencing, 2-tier sentencing comes in. The courts can actually use it. So in 13 days, get the boot polish out. if you go into court, you'll get a lower sentence, if you know what I mean. Don't look like you walked out of go and make yourself look like you just walked out the channel, dripping wet, covered in seaweed. Probably won't get any sentence then. Oh, yeah, it makes me laugh. It really does. This buffoon running the fucking country now. I mean, Boris used to make a lot of mistakes and we used to sit and laugh at him, rip him apart. But the party used to turn him back. He'd apologise for whatever he said, whatever he'd done. And they kicked him out. But Labour keep going back over the Tories' pasts. Now, I distinctly remember Starmer saying something across the House from the box, the dispatch box, saying that we were the ones that pressed to root out the corruption in the Tory party. He doesn't look at himself, does he? I mean, one he brought up was Liz Truss when she, Chucky doll, when she crashed the economy. But he didn't mention, in fact, the Tories had had enough of that shit. They could see what she was up to, and they got her out. Quite within the parliamentary rules, I might add. Yet Starmer has got all these so-called supporters behind him. He's got his front benchers, he's got his back benchers, and not one of them has got the bollocks to do what the Tories did. Not one of them. They'll all snipe and bite behind his back, but they won't stand up and say it to his face or do anything about it. They could quite easily, with the amount of that are turned against him in his own party, they could quite easily force the no confidence vote. Quite easily. But there you go. This is the way dictators run their countries.
He's got something on all of them.
There is something there. Whether it's threats, probably financial. But, I mean, I'd like to hear that Reeves is stepping down, but all we're going to do is get another little Labour robot in her place, because it will come from his own people. Probably someone that knows fuck all about the job as well. Well, a bit like all of them, really. But no, it's going to get very, very interesting. Very interesting. I mean, I believe I have seen reports. Sorry, guys, my eyes are very, very tired tonight. I tried to have a bit of a kip, but I'll be honest, that's why you might see a bit of haze behind me in the camera on the big screens. I had a mate come round and he smokes. But mind you, I still vape, but that doesn't hang around. But why has nobody got a pair in the Labour Party to drag these pricks down, I'll tell you what, Jen, it's going to go that far if they carry on the way they're going. That I believe that's what will happen. There's people, look at the nutters that are about now. There's already people snapping. They've lost control of crime. I mean, that is a big one. When you see some of the scenes from London now, well, cities all around the country, they're just blazing now, fighting in the streets with the machetes, openly pestering women. There's been loads and loads of rapes, assaults that have been recorded, but every single one of them won't have a mention of the ethnicity of whoever the suspect is. Very, very rarely. I'm talking about little local ones that you might get the main one on the TV. And the information they give out that we've always said, that's a big one. Now, when the woman lost her life, sadly, in the London incident yesterday, I think it was, the first reports from mainstream media and social media was a van's been driven into the crowd. And straight away, everybody's, it's the Islamists, the terrorists again. And the police were very, very quick. I mean, I haven't seen a full report, only what public speeches they put out. They were very, very quick to denounce it as a terrorist incident. But there again, I could see that. I haven't got an issue with that. But with an uprise of this shit by them, everybody's going to take it as a terrorist attack. You know, this goes back years from when me and Dan used to say, you see a report or a video, you need to see the whole context around it. And sadly, that just showed up how bad social media can be. You know, personally, I like to try and look and find the actual reports. Okay, we know they're never going to tell the truth in any of them. And this is where the mistrust of the police and the justice system comes in. You know, it started with the two-tier policing. And then that escalated into what we've got now, or upcoming, the two-tier justice. It doesn't matter what the level of crime. It's always the white man that's the bad one, isn't it? You know, look at those in there for sentences just for posting on the internet, making stickers. They've got longer sentences than fucking rapists and women abusers and child abusers. You know, the justice system's been going wrong for a very, very long time. And this is only going to make it worse. A lot worse. Not for them, for us. Hi, Stitch. Scar, I think I said good evening to you. Yep. Lurkers and shirkers in the background, good evening. Faceless cowards, good evening.
I was going to say there's about 3 of us in the chat and there's 21 watching.
Contrary to what Mrs. W said earlier on, we don't delete comments unless they're, you know, an argument, somebody's taking a, you know, serious out of somebody. Then those sort of things we'd have a word about, but you would be warned before they're removed.
Nobody ever does anything that needs deleting.
Yeah, no, you know, everybody is. That's why I say it's always civil in here, respectful guys. You know, we've got brains. We can understand when someone says something, whether it's humour or not. Good evening, DJ.
That's what I was meaning, love. You know, you made me a mod, and nobody ever does anything to handle it. So.
No, it's. But you know, as I say, social media's got its good side and its bad side. Unfortunately, whatever they try to do about the bad side usually ends up doing more against the good side, shall I say. Good evening, Moo. But what can we do? We don't get a say in anything. You know, I mean, I don't go on too much about the war that's going on between Zelensky and Putin, simply because I don't give a flying fuck. You know, if one of them would just wipe each other out, well, fair enough, that's the end of the fucking war, sort it out from there. But you know, Zelensky's just like a financial vampire on the whole world. Good evening, Tone. I mean, fair dues to Trump. He's seen through it. No, you're not getting any more money or support. He goes begging to Europe, obviously. That was his next port of call. And the last one I saw was Comrade Starmer sat in front of a screen saying that, you know, there's all these countries involved in, you know, we're going to continue supporting the Ukraine. We're going to send our boys and girls in there. But when you actually looked at the clip of the video from behind him, as it were, I think there was only half a dozen in there. These are the supposed hordes. What was it? He quoted 30 world leaders that are with him. 6. And most of them think he's a prick. Oh dear. What if I talk about teachers? Yeah, you could look at it from that angle, Scar. I mean, this is, I mean, yeah, I look back at certain things if it gets mentioned, or sometimes I'll remember them if my brain's plugged in. I look at what's happening now. I'll go back and look 3-4 years to see how things were then. And they were pretty screwed up for various reasons. And cost us a lot of fucking money and a lot of nice people as well, unfortunately. But as I always said, you know, we will end up losing more because of the pandemic than from it. We knew that right from the start. But I'll look 3 or 4 years back and then I'll look at now. I mean, we live our lives now from week to week, from payday to payday, or in benefits case, monthly. And you know what you're getting is not going to cover what you need. Now that changes from day to day. They come up with all these brilliant ideas and then they'll change one, they'll change another, then it will get refused, it's got to be modified. They're just dragging loads and loads of decisions out, causing more anguish to the population. You know, the stress and anxiety through it all. You know, if you're old and frail and I'll say not quite compos mentis, which does happen to many people in their old age, it must be terrifying for them and they can't see any way out of it. You know, those that were wise enough or had enough to put quite a bit by for their kids, you know, for their grandchildren when they're gone, they're dying now knowing that's never going to happen because the fucking government's soaking most of it up in fucking taxes. Now that's not even morally right. Nowhere near. You know, adding to their pains like that and knowing that. You know, again, I'm not saying the Tories are any better. We know they had their go at, shall I say, people not needing looking after. But he's got the perfect excuse if we go to war to cancel the next election. So all this shit could possibly continue. And that worries me. That worries me a lot. Because there's a lot of us won't survive another 10 years of it. There's many people that won't survive another 10 years of it. And he calls himself a world leader. You couldn't lead a fucking chimp's tea party, Starmer. You really couldn't. Yes, DJ, it was put out as an idea. And it started to pick up momentum. There is quite a lot have said they're in on it. But for the life of God, why would you have it on a Saturday? You think about it. Most production industries shut down for the weekend. Most people have the weekend off anyway. So, you know, it's a good idea in principle. You know, we saw it once. it does have a big effect. But on a Saturday, yeah, someone hadn't thought that through. But you've got to be careful of these things. I mean, I've even seen an advert for it in America on the same day, but exactly the same ad, just would change the flag at the bottom. So, but yeah, there does seem to be quite a bit of interest. No, I wouldn't expect myself, Scar, honestly. You know, and I wouldn't have said that unless I thought it. It's yeah, I don't know where we're going. You know, everybody's kicking it. Well, not everybody, but there's a lot of fucking upheaval about the genocide in Gaza. Starmer is creating his own fucking slow building genocide here, isn't he? He's slowly finding ways of getting rid of people. If you think about it, quite possible in 10 years. Where did that thought come from? Fucking hell. That just... Yeah, 1 minute I'm forgetting where I am and forgetting what I was saying, then all of a sudden something like that pops into my head. Unbelievable. But then, what is it they're trying to save by all these changes in the benefits? 5 billion? They reckon they're going to save 5 billion over the course of this parliament. I think that's what she said anyway. Well, you could fucking save that amount in 1 fucking month if you could deport all the illegals that are getting benefits. She hasn't got a fucking clue, that woman. You know, we used to take the piss out of Diane Abacus because she couldn't fucking count. Rachel from Accounts, man. Diane Abbott ain't got a fucking patch on her. She's a fucking genius if you put her alongside her. But yeah, the amount they could save on that. And as I said in the video, was it today or yesterday? They themselves basically are the biggest scroungers for benefits than anybody, and they get a lot more than anybody. Good evening, Gary. I mean, I would class getting a second home paid for in London, be it rent, mortgage, whatever. I would certainly class that as a fucking benefit. Getting all the bills paid in said house, I would class that as a fucking benefit. Cheap meals, cheap booze, definitely a benefit. The list goes on. There's someone put in the comments under the video, cleaning their moats for them. Exactly, you know. It's laughable. You know, you think all of those that were present in the House today for PMQs, half of them just sat there silently because literally they know, oh, if we turn up Wednesday and listen to it, that's an extra 395 quid or whatever it is a day for attendance. So, oh, we need another 400 quid this weekend. I'll go one day in the House somewhere on a debate. You know, and it is literally standing room only. Gordo, good evening, buddy.
Evening, Gary. Evening, Gordo. I've been chatting with the girls, so I can't multitask and listen to you as well. So I don't know what you've been saying. We're talking about they're decorating.
Well,
Jenny and Stitch are decorating.
I was doing my usual bit of reading through my notes, and I've gone totally in opposite directions on some of the things I wrote down.
Oh, I was trying to pick up where you were and what you were talking about, and my brain just kept going.
Well, some of it you'd
Jen.
have to see the video to understand what I was saying. Yeah, it's tax free as well, Tony. I mean, look at the old ginger growler off out to, was it Africa today or yesterday? My memory, it's still all over the place. 200,000 for flights, business class. What is she even fucking going over there for? They bung them a few billion the other day, didn't they? Or the other week, whatever, in, here's a few billion to help you do your net zero shit. Unbelievable. And the way she dresses, it looks like she's auditioning for fucking, do you remember Dynasty? For them fucking outfits.
The shoulder pads back in.
It looks like it with her. But yeah, she just looks like she's auditioning for Dynasty or Dallas and something like that, you know what I mean?
I used to love shoulder pads.
Oh, what was her name? Alexa, wasn't it? Joan Collins.
Oh, God, yeah. And Dynasty.
Yeah. Oh, there was a
spin-off.
spin-off.
The High Chaparral.
There was the downgraded version as well. Knots Landing.
Knots Landing,
Yeah.
I watched none of them. I can honestly say when somebody said, who shot JR, I said, who's JR?
But that's what I see when I see the outfits on her. And I bet she's claiming most of them on expenses. Fuck.
You're telling me she didn't wangle a new wardrobe at the start of the year?
Oh, she probably wangles one every fucking month.
That's what I mean. He's got something on all of them. He's got something on all of them. She earned her outfit somehow.
Good evening, Paulette. Yes, 7,800 a month for one. Oh, shit. You know, Starmer sits there. There's a big thing that he's doing this Zoom call with all these world leaders. Well, why don't they do that all the time? That would be a big saving, wouldn't it? Instead of flying all around the world. I mean, do they charge excess baggage weight by putting fucking Lammy on the plane? Oh, dear. With the plane weighed much more with the food they need to keep on board for him. Yeah, Mr. Lammy's seat. Yeah, that's in the middle over the centre point of gravity above the wings. We don't want him either end. Oh, fucking hell. Where did that one come from? I'm in a right mood tonight.
Oh, bless me. Excuse me, guys.
This is how my brain starts to work when I get tired. Thinking, that's probably why I can't sleep, because it does that all fucking night as well. Yeah, that was one thing I was going to bring up as well. Farage. Yeah, I do try, Jen. I do try. But, you know, some days I'm in a good mood. Some days I'm in a bit of a mad mood. Today I'm just tired and the brain just won't switch off. But, yeah, Farage. Now, okay, they're still building a lead in the polls, if you can believe the polls. And they are taking more councils, you know, more of the by-elections. Now, I have heard, now don't take this as Jen because I haven't been able to confirm it anywhere. And it's not been in mainstream media, so it can't be true. That the courts said that Rayner couldn't cancel the elections because it's interfering with elections or something like that. Now, I've only heard that. Whether that's Jen or not, I don't know. But if it is genuine, then the May elections could still be on, which could be fucking hilarious if Labour turn up on my doorstep. I didn't lose my cool with him, but there were, shall I say, a few expletives thrown in his direction as he was asked to vacate the property, shall I put it. I should have filmed it actually, but I didn't think, I looked out the window and I could just see the back of somebody there. I didn't see the clipboard and that. But he got as far as I'm from the Labour Party. And that was it. Off I went, triggered. But yeah, if the May elections are back on, I think Farage will take quite a few seats. Or councillors, and what have you. But, how many people has he alienated that he lost through slating off Tommy Robinson? My view on him. I don't particularly like the guy, but some of the stuff he's put out and the films, the documentaries, if nothing else, should be enough to open people's eyes to how the world is now working.
I would like to ask Nigel if he's seen them, so he knows the sort of thing that he has done. And I would also like to know whether everything that Tommy has said is true.
Yeah.
So what I ask of him, have you seen it? If not, watch it and then tell me how much of it is true, how much of it is a lie. Because if it's all true, which is what we suspect, then how can he say no?
There was a lot of Tommy supporters that were backing Farage. With the infighting, backbiting, sacking, doing a U-turn possibly, and the turmoil in their party, it's slowly whittling away my trust at them. I mean, look at the other day, he did that press conference where he introduced, it was over 25 Labour Party bods that had jumped ship and joined Reform. So is he inviting in his worst enemy, as it were? Could they be planting people in through them? There's no reasoning why not. But he's going to lose a lot of support over his little statement the other day, where he's got his little oppo now, and Annie, I'll call him Annie. It's easier to remember. Annie Yusuf. The name should give you a hint on who he is. And he's got some ideas that people aren't liking. So Farage comes out with, well, if you don't agree with him, you're a rapist.
Racist.
Rapist? How the fucking racist get in there? Racist. Who else have we heard say that since the last election? If you don't agree with me, don't agree with them, you're a racist. Just saying, like, I at the moment, I would certainly still vote reform. I will say that. But I think they need a new leader. Definitely. You know, don't forget, Farage only jumped on board of all of this because he was the first one out in the channel filming the immigrants from a boat. He jumped on a big bandwagon at the time. And it fits in and around what most people want. But they need someone that's not just picking on a one horse thing. Which one that is, I wouldn't even hazard a guess. You know, as it seems there's almost not as much corruption as other parties, but there's something not quite right behind the scenes there. But at the moment, that they would still be my vote. Tory Labour coalition, no, I'd never go near them. But you know, that's just my opinions. You know, others out there might have different ones. That's absolutely fine. Don't have a problem with that. But good evening, Lodger. Oh yeah, we got the new online safety bill thing going now as well, haven't we? All coming in. Again, we know well over 80% of it is aimed at people like myself. Ofcom have been put in charge of it, which was a very bad idea, in my opinion. And boom, you've got all the extra censorship online. But it's always been there. I'm just trying to put myself to sleep, just looking at numbers for a while this afternoon. I actually dived into my analytics and went back through it a bit, which is something I very rarely do. I mean, you know, I don't even get comments flagged up or anything from back then, but if I do drop in on an old video to have a look, you know, I generally do have a look to see if there's any comments I've missed. But I keep getting one or two phone calls, a lot of messages and emails where people, you know, are still getting their comments removed. Well, that's beyond my control. You guys know the way I run the comments. And that is not me. I will admit there is the odd one or two I will delete if someone's been a complete dickhead. But on the whole, I generally let them go. Let other people have their say on them, you know. That's what they're there for. But the way they've been censoring for a long time. Now, I went back and had a look, and if you look in my backlist, I nearly said back passage then. Fucking
I was going to say, I was wondering where you were going when you said back. You can look in my back. Huh?
Fucking random words are just coming into my head tonight. Yeah, I did go a month or two back just for curiosity's sake. And you can tell by the number of viewings what actual types of video they'll put up front. They'll give people alerts for it. They'll put it in the feeds, let people see that it's there. And then you get the other side of things. Well, most of the, shall I say, non-political videos that I've done in the past, sometimes about total random subjects, sometimes posting something I find funny. Now, those videos do really, really well for viewings. Evening Moo. And I'll take the biggest grossing one, which was obviously the Monty Python's clip. Well, that one is, I think it's 5.2 million views now. And so, yeah, that one was out there. It went big very, very quick. It surpassed 1 million in, I think it was just over a fucking day. But then, I'll drop down. There was another one exactly the same, another Python's clip that grossed 9,000. Okay, people don't find that one as popular as the first one. Or maybe, it's coming up in their feed as somebody else that had posted it. As it does, that's what their robots do. But then I look at me political ones, as it were, ones in the news, the ones against the narrative, the ones that are against what's going on now. You compare those views of usually less than 100. Yeah, looking, and I mean, I've seen things change. I mean, I looked at my channel through somebody else's channel on a totally different device under a different name, and not Mrs. W's either. And I clicked on my latest video just after I posted it. Now, you could physically see the likes go up, go back down. Views go up, not very quick, but they climbed steadily, and all of a sudden they go back down. And it's almost instantaneous. Are they blocking views? Are they shadow banning these videos? Their software could do that. Could quite easily discriminate between an against the narrative video to of an interest video, for instance. AI could pick that out, sweet as a nut.
Gordo sending me food porn.
Sending you food porn. Oh dear. Sea fishing rigs, Gordo. Literally, I'll tie half a dozen up before we go the week before, when I fit the tube to the top of the car and that. And yeah, I will change and make more. I do take a rig building box with me when we get there, because the conditions are so changeable. I mean, I'm not going to be able to do nowhere near as much this year as we've been doing, because I'll tell you in a minute, my health has been deteriorating quite badly, and they're finding more and more things. But where we normally fish, you'd understand this, Gordo, it's off the promenade, probably a 15-foot at least sheer drop, over boulders out to mud, and then about 200 yards out, 250 yards out, there's the boat channel, the shipping channel, which is deeper water.
Can I interrupt you?
Hang on, wait till I've finished, because you're probably going to say something about that. And literally, the tide has got to be at least a third of the way up before you've got a fishing depth in front of you. It's just open boulders and a slab of mud when the tide's out. But Heather looked on the internet the other day. She's part of a group up there in Cumbria. And apparently now what was boulders and mud is actually a beach. They've had that much sand come up there. A bloody beach has formed.
Now, when I went there as a kid, so yeah, over 50 years ago, let's put it that way. And there was a load of rocks. They were huge in them days. They're nothing like now. And that's not just from a kid's perspective. And then there was this sort of silty sand. But if you wanted sand, you needed to go the other side of the harbour, because that was absolutely beautiful sands and dunes and everything else. But they're suffering a tidal erosion. When there's big storms and that, it can hit them really hard. It's going to get to a point where the road at the end of by the cottage gets washed away, which means you're going to have to go so far inland to get around the coast. But yeah, apparently all the sand is now down at, it's taken residence at Sillerth East Beach, because there's always been a West Beach. But yeah, so we don't know what it's going to be like up there. It may ruin the fishing.
But yeah, so whatever rigs I'm going to need, they could change depending on what ground's out in front of me out there now. If it's sand, then it's going to be harder for the hounds. You will get a few rays because they'll come in there, but it will be more pushed towards flatties.
That's all right. They taste nice. But we can get those by the cottage.
ATL, good evening, mate. All the way from America. How you doing, buddy? I wouldn't say... Oh, there goes my voice again. That's that bloody vape. I wouldn't say I've personally noticed any difference. It's stirred a lot of things up. Certainly. As far as I'm concerned, a lot of good things. But knowing that Starmer, our dickhead of a leader, and his little mob have been slating Trump for years. We know that. They knew it. But as soon as he got in, they're all pally. Oh, this is all forgotten. Trump will remember every single one of those incidents where they slagged him off. And I believe he will make them pay for it. Starmer's done everything possible to stir it up. He's had it between Trump and the new guy north of the border there. He's done everything to stir what he can out the trouble between Ukraine and Trump. I believe Trump did the right thing by defunding the Ukraine. And we should have followed suit. But because it's going to annoy, or Starmer thinks it'll annoy Trump more if we pay more and turn other people against him. As I said earlier, Starmer's not a world leader. He thinks there's many countries behind him. Well, no, there isn't. Not as many as he thinks, anyway.
Well, there's loads of countries behind him. What he doesn't realise is they're pushing him to the edge of the cliff.
We've got a mini budget or something coming up in the next couple of weeks. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see if he bangs some more taxes in there again to fulfill his promise to the Ukraine. Although he's never, ever fulfilled a promise to anybody in this country that, is indigenous, shall I say. I
really hope he makes my life hell. Because the worst thing for me with the job I do, doing wages, the one thing I really don't want is for him to change the situation with the NI. But I want to look after the little man that actually doesn't quite fit into the right scenario, and this national insurance hike will cripple them, put so many people out of business.
I've said this in videos over the last couple of weeks.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm hoping they do a reversal, even though it will make my life hell.
Yeah. I did laugh the day that Trudeau left for the last time. He had the audacity to pick up his chair and take it with him. I thought, oh, but yeah, but this one that's replaced him, I haven't kept up on too much of it. But he's in the same sort of level as Trudeau was. In fact, he'll probably go harder. Yeah, it's I don't follow American politics. Well, I don't follow ours as close as I should, but yeah, it's a lot of what Trump's doing and what he's saying is making sense. You know, I mean, was it the other day he signed the order to I don't know whether it was national or what have you, to allow firearms certificate holders, whatever that you have over there, the right to concealed carry. I thought, well, when you look at the videos from America here in the UK, it looks like whether they've got a license or whatever, every fucker's got a hidden weapon.
Can I interrupt you? Introduce you? Gordo's asked a question there. Where's the best marks for topes? He was told North Wales and South Wales.
Best marks for taupe.
Sorry to change the subject.
Well, you can catch them all round the coast. A lot of people say the pebble beaches of the south coast. We've actually caught them off the rocks in Cornwall. On a boat, but basically, you catch them anywhere.
They've had them up on the Solway, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of years back. Now, I quite often chuck out a bigger bait, as it were, on the off chance of a taupe where we fish up the Solway. They do come up there.
And are caught.
But and are caught on occasion, yeah. And it's just the fact of catching one from there. But one year, it was 3 or 4 years ago, somebody said, the mackerel had been further up out in the estuary. Everybody was catching mackerel. It had gone absolutely mental with them. And then all of a sudden, everybody with a rod and a boat was out there catching bloody taupe. They were catching them on mackerel feathers, 2 at a time.
Was that the year the guy told us the lads went out and caught something like 7 or 8?
Yeah. What they were doing, they were tying wire, almost like wire mackerel feathers. They called them mackerel feathers, but they actually weren't. You know, with a bloody great 10-0 hook on the end, with a bit of old tin foil or something wrapped on it, and the taupe were taking them. But yeah, literally anywhere around the coast at the right time of year. They do tend to run in packs a bit more when they're in closer. So if you do hook up one or you catch one, there is going to be others out there. You know, that you're not going to get you do get the big ones, but yeah, they do put up one hell of a fight. You've got to be a bit careful how you handle them as well. They got teeth. Yes, Jen, I did. Thank you very much. As I said, it was just me and Heather chilling.
How was Jen's day?
Yeah, Heather just said how your day goes, and where you spent all that money on beads.
Oh, I'm missed it. I haven't really been doing a lot on Facebook. I've gone on, had a quick flick through what comes up in my feed, and if it hasn't come up in my feed, I haven't seen it. So
Yeah,
she went to a bead shop, I take
yeah,
it.
for
Then.
crafts. Yeah, ATL, yes. Now, back in the day, you know, the Canadians forgotten about what he did during the truckers' protest, freezing people's bank accounts, smashing up and vandalising their lorries, threatening to take their pets off them, threatening to take their kids off them. Yeah. Have they forgotten all that? How he can carry on and how that party can carry on? Arrests and beatings for nothing. Literally gangs of police running around the streets. Well, you couldn't run because it was snow on the ground, but you get what I mean.
That is sort of sad that I know what Gordo said there about mono and a wire trace and 10-0 and 8-0 dongles. That's really quite sad at my age. Do you not think, though?
Yeah. Well, you learn. That's how. And you do.
Not that I can put a rig together. I've watched him, and he tried to show me the knots, but yeah, no. The nails are too long, or there's always something, and he's always girly.
Well, I couldn't tell you what the sizes are on this one, Gordo, but that's a 200-pound wire, only a short one, about 1 metre, and there will be a lower strain wire coming from that swivel to the main line. I like to give them plenty of running space, but there you go. You can see the size of that thing. And that one there's, I think that is either a 10-0 or a 6-0. And that's the panel rig I use for taupe. Yeah, I always use the beaked hooks for big fish, literally because the only big fish we catch have got big teeth. And it just makes it easier for a hookup. Doesn't do any more damage than a regular hook. And I always use steel hooks, not stainless. So if I do have to cut one off, it's going to rust out within a couple of days. I always think about my fishing. I don't want to damage it. We call it a sportsman's fish, the taupe. So yeah, it's like the American police, and ours are getting as bad now. ATL. They keep giving them new powers, which they keep abusing. We got people serving 2-year prison sentences for just posting something on Facebook or Twitter, wherever it was. And a rapist walks away with suspended sentence or, 10 months, 12 months. Yeah, the top one, Gordo, the smaller one, that's actually a long shanked Aberdeen. I don't like short ones on the top of a panel rig. It's just easier if they'd have caught both hooks. It's just a bit easier to get that one out, and then I use the hook removing tool for the next one.
Especially if it goes in his finger.
Yeah, we haven't been up there a year yet where I haven't hooked myself at least 2 or 3 times. and I mean badly, and I
Then it's
bleed
always
bad.
blood. There's no blood, it's not a good holiday.
I mean, I had to use a fixed spool for a little while. I jabbed a 6.0 straight in the end of my thumb, which I use on the multiplier, and it was just too painful there to fish with a multiplier with that. I had to let it kind of heal. But, you know, literally this year, it's a case of let's find out if I can still do it all. Obviously, I can't walk to some of the places we're used to now, let alone drag the trolley and the rods along behind.
So if it is then.
Because doing the journey twice is just as bad as trying to drag it all at once. I do need to cut down on the amount I carry, but a lot of it's essential there. You know, it's but we, luckily enough, I mean, the beach, I would have to take me time. I wouldn't be able to take me box and that. But the beach, I could probably manage. You know, I mean, I struggled last year, but I was carrying all the gear. But once I'm actually fishing, it's not too bad because it's like a couple of minutes moving about and then another 4 hours waiting for anything to fucking happen. But, but it's whether I can cope with it or not, with the way my health is going. But we're going to give it a go. You know, with the way holiday lets are going, with the extra taxes going on them if they're furnished, and basically they're going after guest houses and hotels and probably Airbnb. Obviously, that's quite big now. But it'll be whether it's worth travelling all that distance and paying all that money. You know, it might be time to find somewhere closer to home, somewhere that's only an hour or so away, where we can still fish from, you know, the similar sort of predicament, as it were, from a safe, stable platform that's not too far from the car. Then, yeah, we might think about it. But
so if anybody can recommend anywhere that you can park your car, get out and fish at the sea, let me know, and we'll do a day trip to go and see it.
Yeah, there aren't that many. Not that would suit us anyway. Yeah, there's plenty of seawalls, piers. That's another kettle of fish, but you know, we got a decent drop net and we know how to use it. So
there is a possibility of being able to fish from the harbour, jetty, whatever, anywhere. But look at the issue we had at Newquay with the...
Yeah, it's the drop of the tide.
It's the shape of the actual wall.
Well, you couldn't even get up on that wall, let alone be safe standing on it.
So there would be no way we could fish from it. It would never work for me.
Yeah, good. I've got it in my head to look around Somerset and Devon. You know, Cornwall is quite a drive away anyway. But yeah, because there's lots of little harbours, you know, little coves where, yeah, you could fish quite easily. And, you know, there might be only 2 or 3 cars down there. You know, it's not a main sunbathing beach, play, swim beach. Yeah, places like the Humber, Gary, as long as we can handle the rise in the tide from the one position. And that's the only, when I fish the beach, I only fish the top hour and the ebb hour of the tide. So I haven't got a lot of walking to do. Yeah, Menai Gen, that can be very, very dangerous from up the Menai Straits. The tidal race through there is absolutely phenomenal. We fished it a few times for conger eel, and we just weren't prepared for what the tide done.
I'll say to Gary and Jenny, where's the closest car park if I'm fishing off a bridge? Because 9 times out of 10 there isn't one.
There's
And that,
concrete platform. I know exactly where she means. There's platforms and all
Yeah.
sorts down the bottom.
where's the nearest car park?
Exactly.
And this is the issue. It's not just a suitable place to fish from. It's we need to be able to park the car, and might be great fishing from the middle of the bridge, but they don't appreciate you parking your car.
Well, one spot we fish in Silloth, the car park's very rarely full. Times we get there, it's normally empty. You can literally pull your car up, set your gear up, and then sit back in the car in the warm and the dry, just watching your rod tips. You can literally have your tripod in front of the bumper, and you can sit there and fish right the way through the tide.
Okay, you're both saying I'm wrong. I'll continue writing them down.
No, but it's just, if we find we can't manage that, where we go.
Well, as I say, we've also got the other issue that God bless her, what she's doing. It's a beautiful place, and I'd love to stay in the big cottage for the view. But it's getting too busy.
Yeah, it hasn't quite got the seclusion feel that it used to
She's
get.
opening up another 3 cottages in the same area where there was just the two little cottages.
Didn't you say she was adding another room to the one that we stay in?
Eventually, yeah.
So that's going to be more expensive,
Because that's then going to be a 3-bedroom, which means if we're not careful, we're down to the little one.
I will admit she does do us a good deal.
Oh,
because we're returning customers, and I understand, their cost of living's gone up as well. But it's
they got money they needed to use. It
yeah,
had to be put back into the business.
or pay tax on it.
Or yeah.
But yeah, that was the reason we liked it there. You had the one cottage next door. That was your only close neighbour. Yes, she had a small camping field the other side of the farm, but with caravans and a couple of lodges. But they never really bothered us. You'd see the odd one or two walk past that's got a dog. There was a field that opens up just for a month or two a year for camping. And, if you want to put your motorhome in there for a night, and instead of paying on the mine site. Or the caravan club, quite often you saw rallies in there. But again, they're further down. The only time you'll see any of them is when they're on the beach with the dogs, which is very rare. So, we weren't crowded in. No, all the flats she's building, basically, it's going to end up one big building. She normally keeps them at a high level of, spec and everything. There's everything you want in there, washing machine. She started putting a freezer in for me originally, so I could keep my bait in there. And then she started fitting fridge freezers in all of them.
Well, she redid the kitchens, didn't she? She remodelled. Both cottages had a freezer put in. And the fridge, but
it's USA, Jen. I'll explain in a minute when Heather's finished.
Carry on. I've forgotten where I was going now.
Yeah, what we've got, I believe USAID covers groups and charities within America as well. This is just my understanding of it. But most of it is about providing aid abroad as well. Well, what we have is foreign aid, where they rob us and then they used to send it to corrupt South African governments in the manner of get this for your people, feed your people. That all went in their own pockets. And they've been robbing us blind to pay for different things over there, there and everywhere. But we never know where half the money's going. We're never consulted if we, want it to go.
Bless you, Gordo. Thank you very much.
Discord. Okay, mate. I haven't opened Discord for a while, so I must have a word.
I've seen his food porn.
Oh, they always have, ATL. They always have had. I mean, a lot of the aid, some of it used to go through with just the charities, but a lot of the government aid that was sent in the way of foodstuffs, seeds, rice, whatever, that used to have to go through to get their governments over there. And what they were doing was selling it off. They're getting a little bit through from the charities and their direct feeds into the country, but everything that went through the government used to get sold off, usually to buy arms in a lot of the places.
Oh yeah, I was going to get a drink.
I was going to akin it to Vietnam with the American government. They allow and facilitate drug smuggling, and the money they used to make from it, they used to pay for arms for other countries. It's a self-feeding war, isn't it? It's like Zelensky. Where have all the billions gone that were given to him? Didn't need to buy weapons with it, did he? Because he was given them as well. There's a question that nobody's asked in the House of Power here. Yeah, we've got new laws in over here as well, LTL, with censorship. Some of it, as I've said many a time in videos as well, I agree with it, because some of it is designed at protecting children online. But a majority of it is against people like myself, you in America, and stuff like that. They want to totally control what people post, basically. Oh, free speech is not legally, but technically been illegal as far as the law is concerned for some time, mate. Yeah, Starmer had the cheek to sit there in front of Trump and say, oh, Britain's got free speech. We've had it for a long time and we're going to have it for a long time in the future. Have we? Bollocks. Yeah, when you get arrested for criticising your local MP, it's fucking crazy, mate. Absolutely fucking crazy over here it is. And the thing is, the law themselves don't even know what they're doing. In a couple of weeks, we've got this two-tier justice guidance for courts. That if you're part of what we call a protected group, i.e., ethnic background, religion, basically you'd end up with lighter sentences than a white person committing the same crime. Yeah, exactly. We have got a kind of a constitution, HL, but it goes back many, many hundreds of years. But they changed a lot of laws. They even changed the treason laws, the last lot that were in power, because people started calling them treasonous. They softened up the laws on that. And the House of Lords never had any problem with that going through, or old King Charlie. No, we don't. Yeah, and it doesn't matter how loud we shout. I mean, there is talk, and I don't know whether things are actually being organised for a nationwide strike. But they seem to have forgotten that a lot of industry will be shut down that day anyway, because it's a weekend, it's a Saturday. So, there's probably only not even half the country that are going to be out working and paying taxes that day. So it's not going to hurt the government one little bit.
Other than that, what's going to happen is we aren't going to be able to go shopping.
Magna Carta was a trick, yeah. I mean, you can still go and see it and read it. But as I say, there are a lot of old laws that could technically still be enforced. But the courts just don't bother with them, to be honest. And there are people that are sat downstairs just going through them very slowly and putting a repeal side and a leave in place side. And of course, it's all just block filled in and ticked and boxed, and boom, that law's been repealed, Yeah, there are some laws. I mean, a lot of them were based on maritime laws anyway. I'm trying to think of one that is so stupid, but my mind just won't click on it now. I've gone through laws. I've gone through stupid laws.
I mean, like some guy is still legally able to steer his goat over London Bridge.
Yeah, yeah. I
think that one's been repealed now.
There's a lot. There was the free grazing, as they call it. That's how common lands became.
Yeah,
that's what commons were.
I have the right here to graze my animals in the park.
Oh, you still have a right to whip up a herd of ducks going up the road. There are some real stupid ones out there. You can take your goat to the common to graze, but no one round here has a goat. Yeah.
Doesn't have to be a goat.
Well, I considered getting one because I just can't manage the lawnmower anymore. But a very good friend of ours, it's one of his little sidelines, and he calls in now and again with his big one and just knocks it all down for me. It's already been cut this year. He had to do it.
He comes and cuts the grass.
Yeah. Literally because he was going in for an operation on one of his joints. So he didn't know how long it would be until he got back. But with the frosts and that, it's holding it up. It's not growing. Yeah, well, that's what they used to call common land, Steve. Most villages had a common, and that was free for the townspeople to graze their livestock on it. And it still does exist in certain places. I mean, the big park here was, which king was it? King Henry VII or something like that.
Where? Did what?
That donated Sutton Park to the townspeople. Henry VIII. It was originally put together and designed for him as a hunting area that they used to have. But he donated it to the townspeople. I mean, you wouldn't know it's ours, because the amount they charge you to fucking park in there and the restrictions in it. But evening, Graham. Yeah, no worries, mate. You haven't missed much of me waffling on. But I was going to say about the health deteriorating. For those that don't watch the videos, it would seem as if my bypass surgery has failed. The doctor almost concurs with me. So I've got to go for some ultrasounds and probably some scans on that. There is an issue, something with my liver. As we know, the liver can regenerate, can heal itself, depending on what the issue is. If there's a damaged part, severely damaged, they can remove it, but generally the liver will heal itself. It's just one of them weird organs.
It will as long as you stop drinking.
Yeah, well, I haven't drunk alcohol for 15 years, so it can't be alcohol.
But just stopping drinking will make your liver recover.
Oh, yeah.
If you were a drinker.
The fatigue, it's not hitting any more than it was, but it's hitting harder, shall I say, at times. I mean, my muscles, I'm constantly in pain with them now, with cramps as well, quite regularly. I've got 6 months of venous sections ahead of me because my blood's too thick again. I'm still waiting for the physio appointment to look into my arthritis, which they think is just in my neck. But they were looking at a 2-year-old x-ray. And obviously it does spread, and it does feel like it's got into my shoulders, down my spine a bit. My shoulders I'm not really surprised about. Because of my antics on mountain bikes and smashing that one up and destroying it, you are more prone to arthritis in worn and disturbed joints, which most of mine have been over the years. What have I got on here? What was all that about? That'll be YouTube telling me on live.
Yeah.
Hour and a half into the stream. But yeah, that's what I mean about the fishing. Whether I'm going to be able to, keep doing it. Obviously, to be able to do it, I could just cut down on the amount of times, because we generally cram at least 6 to 8 sessions. Some of them double sessions if I go down on the beach. Which I wouldn't be able to handle. I'd obviously have to cut down the days that we fish.
Well, if you only go only every other day, it cuts it down to about 3.
Yeah. I haven't heard anything about that, Graham, but I saw the press release where he's got 29 new councillors or MPs, whatever. Most of them came from Labour, but there was a few Tories in there. I didn't see Tony Blair in the list, but that's what I was talking about earlier, that I'm not losing trust in reform. I'm just losing trust in the clown that's running it. Maybe that's a bit harsh, but at the moment, that's my opinion with what he's doing with the party. And more important, with the direction he's trying to steer it in. But here's an idea. All these paddlers we've got in these fucking hotels. Now, when you look at the videos of people that film around them, or any video from anywhere near them, the grounds are disgusting. There's fucking litter everywhere. There's fucking bikes scattered everywhere, clothing. And usually the whole general area where they're parked is the same on the streets, bus stops. Why don't they march the fuckers out of there every day, give them a litter picker and a couple of bin bags, and fucking make them pick up all the litter?
You should try and find a full-time job.
No, think about it. No, they can't. Because if they're not legal citizens, they can't work. Although some of them do, because that's where their security is coming from on the hotels. But think of it this way. Now, under our laws, to come in this country without documentation, trying to sneak in through the back door, i.e. float across the channel, is illegal. Therefore, it's a crime. Now think about what punishment they give for low-level crimes, because even if you class that as the lowest level crime, you get the service, don't you? You have to do community service, which generally entails going round areas, cleaning them up, cleaning the litter up, painting, tart the place up. Just a thought.
But I don't speak English.
No, it wouldn't be against the ECHR,
Oh,
Steve,
no.
because technically, with what they done, they are criminals, and they should be, if they're out in public, they should be bailed as such, no matter what the crime.
If you put them through the court first.
Yeah.
Maybe because they haven't taken them to court yet, they can't hold them on remand.
No. Just. I don't know where. I thought about this the other day. That's not quite how I worded it. I don't even know if I put it in a video. Don't think so. But how about that for an idea?
Look, you're getting Graham angry.
Yeah, I've got to do my blood pressures later as well. That's going to be fun.
You know, I said I was going to start deleting comments. I might just start with Mr. Nut and his capitals.
Nah, he's all right. It's, yeah, how's that for an idea? You know, cleaning up outside the fucking hotels for a start would make the place look better. You know, it doesn't change what's inside, but it'd make the place look more acceptable from the outside.
Sorry, Graham, me threatening to delete your comment was supposed to make you laugh, not angry.
Yeah.
Who's a moody poo?
How's that for an idea? You know? They can't hassle them to find full-time work because most of them can't work until they've been processed and fast-tracked through as being accepted. And, you know, it's... Yeah, that's a thought, isn't it? Clean up the environment.
You'd have to lay on a bus for them. They might as well go and work up pigging.
I mean, lay one on. They've all got free fucking travel cards, free bus passes.
But they'd never get there if they had to use public transport.
So you take the privilege like that away from them if they don't do it. Treat them like a proper criminal. I mean, even walking distance from a hotel, they're all fit young males, aren't they? They can all chase people around with knives and walk for miles, stalking women. All right, Jan, I'm only going to be on another probably 20 minutes or so anyway, as I said, with my mate coming round. I managed to get a bit of a kip this afternoon, but there were alerts coming in. I actually get alerts on Facebook and Twitter, you know, not so much on YouTube. Well, never an audible one anyway.
You've had a bit of an exciting day.
Yeah, it has been quite busy. But, oh, yeah, the benefits change. Now I've got another reassessment in May, I think it is. Yeah, I had a text or an email from a message saying it would be this is the time when your next review will take place. Well, I've got to put a letter together at some point this week to explain that my symptoms are getting a lot worse. I mean, my COPD, I shouldn't be using this. My COPD has doubled in the severity level. Just walking from here into the kitchen to get a drink. By the time I've sat back down, I need to go on my puffer. I'm out of breath. I've got pains in my chest. So, I think the next review I have on that with the COPD nurse, it's going to be, there might even be something else in there. It might not even be COPD. They haven't x-rayed my lungs for fucking years. So you just don't know. And I used to use through my work a lot of nasty stuff back in the day. On building sites, obviously, you got the cement dust, you got asbestos dust, you got all sorts of things. But I had many years working in 2 different tanneries, one back home in Abingdon and one in Bristol. And some of the chemicals you use can be quite hazardous, and they're as fine as talcum powder. And the idea of a mask back then was wrap an old rag round your face. All right, Graham, take it easy, buddy. Look after yourself.
Hi, Graham.
That was as far as protection from that went. If you'd have probably asked for it, they'd have given you something. But
in those days, it was only doctors.
But most people didn't bother. We used to use, funny enough, a lot of acid. Even hydrochloric and ammonia, which you had to wear a breather to dispense. Obviously, ammonia, you put your head over a 5-gallon bucket of ammonia, it's going to draw all the oxygen straight out of your body. And hydrochloric acid, that'll burn through virtually anything that's around a human body. And the smell of it can knock you right off your feet. And you can be quite ill after, a few days after getting a face full of it. And, that's the sort of stuff we used to use. So, yes, there could well be something more than COPD there. I personally think there is. Because I know people with COPD, and I haven't seen anybody that's got as bad as I have, to be honest. It's got to the point where you got to predict when you want to piss to give yourself enough time to get up the stairs and have enough energy to pull your kegs down and sit down. And once you have been up there, it's quite regular to sit there for a few minutes to recover. It's as I say, a lot of it could be getting old, but that will be probably my last ever assessment from PIP. Because once you reach the age of 65, which for me will be next March, obviously, you no longer get assessed. That's what you get in, whether it goes up or down, that's it. But it does mean that they can't change anything unless the government orders it, obviously. But I honestly, I didn't know that. I don't read small print, unfortunately. But Heather reminded me the other day. So after 65, that's all you're getting. Yeah, that's what I've always said, Lodger. It's everybody is so respectful in here, and on the whole, any comments I do get on my videos, they're all people that have been with me a while. They're respectful, like yourself. You know, I don't expect everybody to comment. Far from it, but it's nice to keep in touch with some of you. You know, various ones have helped me out in various ways. Andy Red Volvo was actually the one that got me through the process of coming through on StreamYard, on camera, as it were, on other live streams. I'd been on them in comments. I knew how to do that. So that was a bit of an experience, but it was in an afternoon live stream, and we went through it. And yeah, StreamYard has been used regular by myself ever since. You know, I'm still learning. There's a lot of features on it that I don't use, and I certainly won't pay for it. So I only get the 20 hours a month, and you only get 6 on the panel. Did it go up to 10?
No, it's
I can't
10 when you
remember.
pay.
That camera's lasted nearly all night.
It's just gone.
It's just frozen. I've been waiting for it to go. We'll go back to the other one. I'll leave it on that one. It's being as you've only got a quarter an hour, 20 minutes to go. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's all I need, Gordo. I mean, I don't even, you know, I used to do 3-hour streams. The way my body is at the moment, I literally kind of, I mean, if Pat started streaming again, which he will at some point, yeah, I'd probably only last a couple of hours on there, to be honest. Where I used to sit on there from 8 o'clock to sometimes till bloody 6 o'clock the following morning. But because don't forget, after the streams, quite often we used to sit on StreamYard having the private chats and that. But yeah, I wouldn't be able to do that now. So, you know, 4 3-hour streams at most. You know, that still leaves me a few hours in the bank, but you don't keep those. It recycles 20 hours every month or every 4 weeks.
The only time you came close to using all your hours was when you did, when Dan first went down to his mum's and you stood in for him one Sunday.
Oh, yeah, I did quite a long one that night.
Yeah.
And I did a couple where I went live and was restreaming from protests and things, yeah. But I've never gone over it. Well, once, didn't I? And that was when
Dan had just gone down.
Dan had just gone down to his mum's. I did one for him, but I realised that with what hours I had left, I'd have gone over. So what I did was I actually contacted StreamYard. And a very nice woman just, no, we won't cut you off even if you've gone over your hours. And she put me emergency hours on for that one day. And so I kept going. Didn't get penalised. Didn't have to pay anything.
But yes, even if you've only got 10 minutes left on your StreamYard, 20 hours, if you start streaming, they don't cut you off.
Yeah.
You can go as long as you like.
It's always nice because if I ever needed to do an emergency stream or anything, I've got the hours there to fire one up. Not that I'd worry about firing it up anyway, but
I haven't used any of mine.
But it confused the fucking hell out of me the other day. Now I use, yes, I know it's a Chinese app and part of TikTok, but I actually use CapCut, their free editing suite. Now, I've always said what I'm like with starting these new things like that. To me, they're just complicated. And after the free one that I got was a free download off of Google, I think it was, or somewhere, which was a basic. This one was quite a shock. All of a sudden, I had layers where I could change things, but I learned to use it. Now, for the last couple of months, every time I open the app, it's been flashing up, update to this version. And literally every time I clicked on it, install, it wouldn't go in. It just disappeared. No idea why. So I gave up trying. And it came up again the other day. I thought, I'll just click on it. And whoa, it installed. But I had no notification that it had installed. So I've gone into CapCut to edit the day's video up, and I couldn't recognise a fucking thing. It had all changed. Well, I say all changed. The way you do things, some of it had changed, and the look of it had changed. There's added things on there that you can do without having to pay for the bigger upgrade. One day I forgot to put the lighting on, and I forgot to check the light levels, because you can change light levels and everything on there. And it looked like I was sat in a cave. It was just dark and dim. Some of the transitions I used to use, they've moved them all around. Some are now, you've got to pay to download them, where I always use the free ones. And that's usually the only time I change them. I pick two for the beginning and the end of the video, and I stick to them two until they put them up as pro, where you've got to pay for them because you're using them too much. But yeah, I learnt to use that one pretty quick. So my mind ain't slipping that much, but it's just remembering it, as always with me. But yeah, there's a lot of it. I mean, even Windows 10 now, they're saying it's not going to be long before it's unsupported. Well, I haven't got much hope of Windows 11 because this computer and none of our laptops, or Heather might have one, that will accept Windows 11.
No, I don't.
You haven't?
No.
Oh, so neither of us could.
No.
And a member of the family who works with computers all day, she's an absolute whiz. She's like a problem solver for a company. I won't say which company because they are quite well known. And even there, she said that they're not using Windows 11. They've all had it. This is a top line company. And they reverted back to Windows 10. There's so many issues with Windows 11. Apparently, there is a lot of stuff that's built into it that you can't delete, you can't get rid of, which obviously the conspiracy theorists will say, they're watching everything you do. Well, you don't need an upgrade to do that, because I've got to the point now where I unplug my cameras, unplug my microphone, because the cameras have got mics in them as well. There is no other microphone connected to the internet via the computer. My phone technically could be listening, but I've had a look and there's no sort of nasty things in there. And I've had other people look.
Can't see anything on this one.
Heather can't see anything on hers simply because we were getting recommended in Facebook and stuff like that. Something totally anonymous that we talked about, maybe mentioned a band, a film, and all of a sudden you get the fucking feed filled with that shit. Now, we weren't typing it in. Most of the time when it's happened, I wasn't even on the platform. Yet it was still finding out just what I was talking about sat here with nothing actually turned on, although it was plugged in.
This last week to 10 days, I've had things for pap machines.
For what machines?
Pap. You know, the breathing things, like what Dan's got.
Oh.
You breathe at night.
Well, yeah.
Because you keep saying COPD all the time.
Yeah, yeah, we don't have anything like that, Lodger. No, would not have entertain one of those. You know, there's no saying there isn't a built-in microphone if you wanted to think about it in the Wi-Fi box, which is in the room over there. That's possible. You know, but it just proves that somehow they always know what you're doing. And I've always said they do, and they will. They'll find any way they can. You know, there are the ridiculous ones like your microwaves listening. I mean, there is a plausible one that your TV's got a camera and a microphone in it. Well, a microphone is easy enough to hide, but actually putting a camera out that looks through the screen, well, I'm not taking any mine apart to find out if there is one in them. And the videos you've seen on the internet, you know, where an engineer allegedly pulls it apart. Oh, look, there's the camera. You know, who's to say they didn't have that before dismantling the TV? You know, you can't always believe everything you see on the internet. Yeah, I like some of the memes, Lodger, from them when you put Alexa against, is it Siri? Yeah. And you start them arguing or asking each other the silly same question over and over again. Yeah, it's quite obvious that they're fake, but it just gives me a giggle because I can envisage seeing them doing that. I mean, AI is a very dangerous thing in my eyes. Great for if you want to use it making pictures and stuff like that. But, you know, when AI can actually learn even now to cheat and lie, it's not a good outlook for it, is it? And it is an intrusion once it starts getting used like that. The watches, yeah. It is. We are actually in the 1984 scenario. You know, it's got to the point where it's over the top now. I mean, CCTV, it was great when it first came in, but by changing it all over to facial recognition and AI, it can be used for what it was not intended to be used for. You know, that's the first thing about having a credit scoring system like China. Before you can charge anybody anything or accuse anybody of anything, you got to know who they are. The cameras got to know who they are. The AI has got to know who they are. To me, that's just the first rung on the ladder, doing that. You know, they're still trying to force the digital-only currency. We've seen banks by the dozen closing their branches. Make sure people have got no access to get their cash. Make them, okay, we'll still let them keep cash, but let's make them work to get it. You've got to go further afield.
Santander's just announced a load of closures.
Yep, 94 closures, I think it is. Thousands more people on the dole. And it won't be long before, along with the banks, you start seeing all the other cash machines disappear from the high street.
Where the local councils put up the business rates.
I've been saying it's been heading that way for years. With the farmers, with what they're trying to do with the farmers, driving them out of business. Well, if you think about the films, the oppression they're doing, locking people up for dissenting, splitting people into 15 minutes, then you're going into the Hunger Games scenario. It's as if they're taking their regime and running it using 1984 as the Bible. This is how you should do it. I'd laugh here and I'd smirk about it. But in reality, in my head anyway, I see it happening in front of my eyes every day. I see it on here. I see it out there whenever I do venture out.
It's even got to me. I'm wearing grey tracksuit bottoms. Everybody wears bloody grey tracksuits.
Okay.
I know.
I already look like I live in a communist country because I wear grey every day.
No, 1984, they all wore grey.
Ah, that was only in the black and white version. Although there are some colorized versions of it. And yeah, she is right. They are, well, in the later one, they're all in blue overalls. But except for the proper party members, they had like a dictator's uniform, obviously. But if you haven't seen the last version, it's been out a few years now. It's well worth watching.
There is not a new version. The newest version is what's his name?
John Hurt.
John Hurt version. But he talks about it as if it's new.
Yeah, but the latest one, the last new one.
Yeah.
It brings it a bit more up to date with helicopters and stuff like that in it, But the storyline's still the same. There's just a bit more detail, a little bit of nudity, which you were never ever going to see in the original. Yes, I've read the book, but you didn't see that in the original films. Yeah. When your kettle starts calling your names, yeah, exactly, Gordo. Fuck off, you've had enough cups today, you ain't having another coffee. If you got a proper oven, every time you open the oven door, fuck off, go and use your air fryer. And you talk about that, then you're getting into the Skynet scenario, aren't you, where the machines totally take over.
Well, you've got them now that you can program your washing machine and things from your phone.
Yeah. But this is what I can't understand. Now, I came from an era where if you had anything carrying with you, it was money. And that was about it. You had a wallet. Maybe a driving license in it. There weren't no credit cards, debit cards or anything like that. There wasn't even a hole in the walls hadn't been invented back then. If you wanted money, you had to walk into the post office or the bank, usually with a little book. But now, you look at what's on your phone. Your whole life is on your phone. How easy is it to have your phone stolen? Have your phone get lost? That's your whole life on there. Yeah, I know all your data's backed up on a cloud or whatever. Look at who's buying up the clouds, buying up the companies that run the clouds, buys the apps. Google's parent company bought a big one for God knows how many billion the other day. I think it was. I can't confirm it, but that is what I saw. And they're Google's parent company, as I say. There is one bigger than Google. They own them. And basically, with all the censorship going on, Ofcom and the government have got control of Google by censorship. They got them by the balls. Just think about that. Is your data safe on your phone? I don't keep anything on my phone. All my pictures, any videos, personal videos.
That's what I love about you. You're such an optimist.
All on an external hard drive. And the one my videos go on, and that doesn't even stay in the house. That just miraculously appears at random times for me to put stuff on. Well, that's just clicked over 2 hours. I just didn't see that. I will call that it, guys. It's been... Oh, I didn't open the panel. I was going to open it up for half an hour. Oh, fuck. Oh, well.
I'll remind you next time.
So that when I get in one of these moods, I'm just so tired. I'm just laughing everything off. Really, a lot of what we talked about isn't really laughable. But right, I'll have a last puff of the lung killer there. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for joining myself and the lovely Mrs. W tonight. Yeah, a few random things talked about there. But as always, it's been great to see you. As always, thank you for being so respectful in the chat, not just to me and Mrs. W, but to each other as well. Yeah, as we know, that's a very rare thing on a lot of live streams now. But that's how I like it. But
what?
To that, it's good night from me.
And it's good night from me. I hate typing all of that.
Stay safe, stay strong, stay free. Respects, guys.